Hello guys, in this video I'll discuss about in three things. This is cause one thing is sc.defaultParallelism. Second, add.getNumPartitions and sc.defaultMinPartitions. I will discuss on three parameters. What these three parameters holds importance in our big data. If you're working on Pyspark, okay. So if you wrote one code like this, see this is my own code, count dot, here we are what we are trying to do. This is our code. We are trying to create Spark context. Then this is our data inside a list. So our data means this is our list, and I am using sc.parallelize function, and we are passing that list. So here I am trying to convert our list into RDD using this sc.parallelize function. There where I am doing some transformation map reduced by key. I already discussed about this code in my previous video. So actually what I am trying to do here, I am trying to convert this data into RDT using this sc.parallelize function. So if you run this code, and if we go to your DAG localhost 4040, if you go to a Spark UI, if you see the DAG, if you see your stages, you click here, you can see 12 by 12. It means we have 12 tasks. If we have 12 tasks, the question is why it is like 12 tasks. Why it is 12 tasks? The question is this: why we are getting 12 tasks? Because if you see the data, it may be some 1 MB or 2 MB, maximum 2 MB data. This list, maximum 2-3 MB. For 2-3 MB, why we are getting 12 tasks? That is the question. The question is for like let's think for 2 MB data, why we are getting 12 tasks in my laptop. Tasks in Spark UI. So this 12 tasks is depend on these properties. Okay. So if you are using this parallelize function, the number of tasks will be depend on this sc.defaultParallelism parameter. So we copy this and I will go to a terminal. I will go to my terminal. This is my terminal. Okay. Now I will type. I will open Pyspark terminal. So I am creating here I am opening my Pyspark terminal. Now I will copy paste this one sc.defaultParallelism and hit enter. See, now I am getting 12. It means, what is the meaning of this? It means that by default your my Spark in my laptop will give 12 tasks if I use sc.parallelize function. So the job of this parameter is it will give the number of it will try to give you number of default tasks. Okay. So what I'm trying to say that, so the number of tasks, if number of tasks depends on depend on this parameter, number of tasks depends on this parameter if you are using sc.parallelize function. using sc.parallelize function in your code. So in your code, when you are using sc.parallelize function, you will open your Spark UI and you will check. It may be 12, it may be 8. It depends on your number of CPU, your number of cores in your CPU. Okay. In my laptop, my CPU core is 12. That's why I am getting 12. In your laptop, if the CPU core is 8 or 4, then you will get this thing. It can be 4, it can be 8. It depends on your laptop. Okay. So these parameter, this sc.default parallelism parameter will tell you how many tasks you will get if you use sc.parallelize function in your code. So that's why I am getting 12 tasks, because my laptops, because this parameter telling that you should get 12 tasks. That's why I am getting 12 tasks. And the internal, because how they are calculating, how this parameter is calculating, I will get 12 tasks. It depends on the CPU core. You don't have to know that. Just remember one thing, why you are getting 12 tasks here, because it will be set by this parameter. Okay, sc.default parameter parallelism. This is telling you, it's telling that you will get 12 tasks if you use sc.parallelize function in your code. Okay, now it is clear why you are getting 12 tasks here. When you are getting 12 tasks here, if you use this function sc.parallelize method, you will get 12. It may be 8 tasks, depends on your laptop, and on this also it depend on this parameter. Okay, you have to check what is the return value of this parameter in your laptop. That much tasks will get if you use sc.parallelize method. Now I will come into these things. What is this rdd.getNumPartition? Okay, so to know about this, I have to create an RDD. Okay, now I will come here. I will come to this code. Here I am trying to load one file and try to create an RDD. Okay, now I will go my terminal. This is my terminal. I will copy paste it. So what I am doing? So I am trying to load sc.text file. From this, I will try to load this customer.csv file from our dataset. Okay, and try to get an RDD. Okay, trying to load this file. Maybe hit here enter. So RDD1 will be created. And if I want to know that how a number of partitions in our RDD, so what actually this function will do, it will tell us number of partitions in that RDD. This function will tell you number of partitions in that RDD. So in my we are created RDD1. Now I am to check how many partitions are there in my RDD1. What will do? RDD1 dot what will do? I'll call this function. Okay, get number of partitions. See 2. This is a 2. So how many partitions are there in RDD1? Only 2 partitions are there. Okay, only 2 partitions are there. I will show you the data size of this customer.csv. Okay, and I will go to downloads. Sorry, see this customer.csv. You can see 144 KB. You can see 144 KB. This is my local desktop. Okay, in local desktop I have this customer.csv, customerOrder.csv file, and this file size is 144 KB. Okay, and for when I loading this file in my Spark cluster here, and we are getting RDD1, and if I check the partitions of the RDD, I am getting 2. Why 2? Because only we have the size of this customer.csv is 144 KB. Then why it is 2? Because this is also depend on one thing. This is also depend on the parameter. So if I do this sc.default minimum partition, this mean partitions. If I can see, okay, you can see if I type sc.defaultPartitions, I am getting 2. So what is this parameter is saying? This parameter is saying that minimum we should have 2 partitions in our Spark cluster. Okay, so it is saying minimum we should have 2 minimum partitions. That's why you are getting this parameter is set by Spark. Okay, Spark is saying we should have minimum 2 partitions. That's why here when trying to find the number of partition of this RDD1 getNumPartition, we are getting 2 because the size of this data is so small, 144 KB, and when we are trying to get RDD and we are calling this function, we are getting 2. And let me explain one thing. Okay, so when we are loading means sc.text file, we are loading one file in my Spark cluster, and when cluster, the number of partition will define by 2 things. So then number of partition, then how we will decide number of partitions. Okay, how will decide number of partitions? So if customer.csv file size is 500 MB, then how many partition will get? 500. If it is my local system, 500 by, then I have to divide it by 32. Because this is my local desktop, I have to divide by 500 by 32, because I am trying to load our this customer's order.csv from local file system. Local file system is your Mac or your Windows file system. Then we have to divide by 32. So if I divided 500 by 32, it will be 5.625. It means we will get approx 16 partitions. Okay, now if the customers, if the size of customer.csv is 144 KB, then how many partitions we will get? So if we try to divide by 144 by 32, it will be some point 0 point something. Okay, so that's why Spark is set some default number of partitions. Okay, because sometimes the file size can be very less. That time Spark is saying we should have minimum 2 partitions. 0 point something it will happen. Minimum 2 partitions. Okay, that's why this property come into picture. That's why this property come into picture. This property is saying minimum this much partitions. For my case, this sc.defaultMinPartition is returning 2. Okay, most probably it will be same for every laptop. Okay, minimum 2 partition will be there. So this is the when you are working with local file system, it means in your desktops. Okay, now if you are working in HDFS, if you are working, okay, HDFS, okay, if the size of customer customerOrders.csv is 500 MB. Then how many partition will get? 500 by 128. We do this. 500 by 128, 3.90. Okay, it means 4 partition you will get. 4 partition you will get in 4 partition means 4 tasks. 4 partition means 4 tasks in HDFS, or you can say blocks. Okay, you can say blocks. In HDFS you will get 4 partition, 4 blocks or 4 partition. It means number of tasks. Okay, in HDFS. Okay, but let's think one scenario. If size of your in HDFS size of the customer order CSV is 1 MB. 1 MB, and you are trying to load that file. Then trying to load means you are trying to sc.text file. Then then what will be the partitions? Then how many partitions you will get? How many tasks you will get in your Spark UI? That time you will get 1 by 128. That time also you will get 2 partitions. I means 2 tasks. 2 tasks. Why? Because for HDFS also, when you are working HDFS also, the minimum number of partition will set by this property. This property will tell you how many minimum partitions you will get when you are working with local file system or HDFS. So this property will tell you how many minimum partitions you will get in your Spark UI. Okay, that's why these things are important. So I am repeating one thing again. Okay. So when you are using sc.parallelize function in your code, you will get certain number of tasks in Spark UI. It depends on this parameter. Okay, it depends on sc.defaultParallelism. This property will tell you how many minimum number of tasks you will get when you are using sc.parallelize function. Means when you are trying to convert the data into RDT. Okay. Now when you are loading some file, normally we use this sc.text file function to load some file in HDFS also, in our local system also. Okay. So when you are using this, that time we will get the number of partition will decided by 2 things. So if you are using this sc.text file, the number of partitions will decided by 2 things. If it is our local file system, then we will divide it by this 32 MB. If your file size is 500, I will divide by 32. I will get this much of partitions. If the size of this customer CSV very less, like 1 MB, 2 MB, 3 MB, 4 MB, 5 MB, 6 MB, in that case we cannot divide by 32. Okay, this is the 144 KB. You think, how can I divide by 32? How many partitions will get? In that case we will get minimum 2 partitions. So Spark is saying that we will always get minimum 2 partitions. If there is a more partition, it is okay, but our minimum partition should be 2. And this setting, this is the that parameter who will tell you how many minimum partition you will get in your Spark code. If I go to terminal again, you can see sc.defaultMinPartitions. That this parameter will tell you, this property will tell you how many minimum partition you will get in your code. In our case 2. And if you want to know for a specific RDT, if you want to know how many partitions is holding by this RDT, how many partitions is there in this specific RDT, then you have to call this function RDT1.getNumPartition. This function will tell you how many partitions is there in a specific RDT. So that's it in this video. This is very important. Interview can ask you Okay, so that's why I try to clarify it, these things. Okay, remember one thing, when we are using the sc.txt file, when you are loading file in our data system, our Spark code, if you are using HDFS, then I will divide it by 120 MB. Okay, we will divide it by 120 MB block size. If we are using local file system, we will divide it by 32. Okay, that's it in this video. See you in the next video.